I kind of like what the Hockey Newfoundland is done in, as you say, taking a leadership role, but in a way it puts a bit of a hammer in the hands of the wrong people. And the simple thing of 3 shifts in the third period. Who's going to monitor that? Again, one more layer of oversight that's required, and certainly all these things can be argued as they are now. Everything is subject to the viewer's point of view and what they recall seeing. Yeah, it's not a fix all for anything. But it is a step in the right direction.
Tom, I'm thinking, you don't need it because you're doing that. In fact, Rick and Tom, my take when I read it was sort of a red flag, as if they follow that from the beginning of the season, and they're going to they're allowed to create their special teams still in the third period. I've always operated on, from the beginning of the year, everybody plays everything, and you can play different lines at different times, but they all get opportunity to play all special teams to develop.
Well, Wally, I'm kicking myself on our final game there because I should have done that.
Yeah.
We got a power play, and I got one D pair that one of them, the puck is not her friend. And we're leading 2-0. And she goes to pick up the puck and skates over top of the puck, leaves it in front of our net, they score. And they ended up tying the game on our power play. And, if I would have put a better D pair out there, like someone, they're good defensively, but not a power play unit. And I think it cost everybody because we would have got more games, of course, because we dominated the game, but we lost it. But anyways, so sometimes in a big game like that, I could have just had them go out the next shift, after the power play. So there is a time
and aspect of it.
Yeah.
Rick, if you had any of those moments where in the back of your head you wanted to get different people out there, but you didn't because of the team building factor?
Nothing that comes to mind, to be honest with you, Wally. I'm sure I know I've been guilty of both sides.
Yeah.
Of being too aggressive in that area and being too lenient and too caring and understanding, and then having to answer for why did you have that guy on the ice at that particular time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good rationale, and it was all in my mind at least. It was all for the betterment of the player, but then you have to keep in mind that there's not only one player involved, there's a number of them, and if you do something that takes something away from the group as a whole, is that the right thing to do? It's a question without an answer.
Yeah. Like I find many coaches won't put a player out there, and it's sort of an excuse. They don't want to set them up for failure. Now, Tom, in your case, the defense pairing and the player that made the mistake was one of your most skilled players. The puck might not be her friend, but she's her best skater, not the best decision maker.
And well, that's the deal, is not a player for offensive situations.
Yeah.
She can track anybody down defensively because she might be the fastest skater in the league.
Yeah.
In a city championship game, it probably wouldn't have hurt to shuffle a line that they got out when the power, when it was over, and maybe get an extra shift on the penalty kill because they're very good at that.
Yeah. Now this
better coaching decision on my part.
So this may seem trivial, and I've told the story before, Rick. After the 2002 Olympics, I went and watched my nephew's son play in a tournament in Winnipeg, and it's a private school, and it's a U11 group, whole ice hockey, and they had rolled the lines all game. They're down 2-1, and there's a minute left. His son's on, and they did have one ringer with a minute left. Off comes his son, and out goes the ringer. And I, standing beside my nephew, his father, I mentioned, okay, this is now a lose-lose situation. They need to give themselves an opportunity to win. And I explained they're likely not going to tie the game. They're going to lose the game. So they lose the game, and they also lose the spirit of that one player who went off, who's going to have doubt about his own ability, and possibly the other teammates who might be in those similar rankings on the depth charts of a U11 team. So it was a lose-lose situation. Now, they might have taken the kid off, and they might have tied it, and they might have won. So it's a lose-win situation. But you want to give yourself an opportunity to win, or win, lose. Win is leave them out there. And if you do lose, you've lost the game, but you've really built the team. You haven't lost the spirit and belief of every member of the team. And the ripple effect of making that change on the kid in the stand or parents in the stands who don't say anything, don't speak out. That's why this allocation piece is necessary. It's just gone south to the point where one branch has produced a document to mandate what's going to be done. And everything that Mike Benelli said is right. It's the enforcement, but at least a governing body has given a hammer to the leadership group to reinforce that. So, Peter, welcome aboard.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like the guy that comes to the party late and everybody's gone, and it's just the guys there that are cleaning up.
Well, you're right, Peter, but you got the email with a document.
I did, yeah.
And I want you to look at it. My question for you, and it's a homework assignment,
Okay.
is after you read the document, I was thinking that you and Mike Benelli and Hell, when you're working with an association, which you are, show them the document. You've looked at it, get your take on it, how you feel about it. And then how does the people in the association you're trying to get on board feel about it? Because to me, it's a fantastic document. It's a way of dealing with allocation of ice time in a black and white fashion. There are some gray areas within it, but there has to be a policing of it. But it's sure
I know that. I know that in the one I've been dealing with, Wally, what they have is a policy that everyone plays, and the coach has the discretion with the last 2 minutes to do what they want with the ice at that point. Now, that brings up another question. So that gives you, the coach, the ability to say, okay, I'm going to play these kids to win a game. But again, now we talk about to what end, what message does that send to the other kids? And we're talking to the younger kids for sure, right? Your squirts and even your peewees. You're a peewee B player who didn't make the A team to begin with, and now you're being told that you're really not one of the better players on the peewee B team. And at the end of the day, how much does the fact that you didn't win, quote unquote, together affect your team culture and that? So that's one thing that I've always kind of struggled with that they do.
No, and to me, that's the art of coaching. Like, I leave them out there, win or lose. And leaving them out there, I've won more often than I've lost. In fact, when you leave them out there, you never lose.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather lose 3-2 and have every kid feel like they contributed as opposed to going home and saying, well, coach, I guess you didn't think I was good enough, or mom or dad, the boy or girl says, I wish I was out there because I think I could have done something. Right. So I agree with you.
You didn't give them that opportunity to succeed and,
Right, exactly.
be the best. Now, I like Tom, I made the same mistake, but I was lucky. It's a national championship where calling a timeout, leaving the line out there that was in play, and national championship in overtime when we're getting outplayed. I left the line out there, and as soon as the puck was dropped, we had a 2-on-1 going on the ice, and the weakest forward on that line came right off the ice. I didn't put out our Haley Wickenheiser, and I probably should have, but it wasn't even in my mindset at that point that I was relying on 2 Olympians to be on this club team playing against a team with 9 Olympians. So that's a case of absolute win-win coaching. The girl that came off delivered a message. I wish you'd put Haley out there, and probably she was right, but I hadn't done that all season. It was a habit. So sort of an example at the extremely competitive level. I don't care if you're talking AAA, AA, NHL. You get conditioned to doing things certain ways and experimenting, and I don't experiment with it anymore to the point where I've gotten fired for doing that. And I'm not sorry for it, but if I wanted to keep my job, I might have done things differently, but I didn't, and I'm happy with what I've done. So
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to be friends with the guy that you see in the mirror shaving every morning.
yeah, you're right. You got her. Well, look, I don't